Now we're going to look at subtracting vectors. I'm going to start by doing it wrong. Why would I start by doing it wrong? Well, because this is the way I see so many students make a mistake. And I just want to make it clear that this is not how you do it. So what are we looking at? When we talk about subtracting vectors, usually we're looking for something like this, where we say delta v, a change in velocity, is equal to v2 minus v1. That's what we mean by subtracting vectors. And then students, as soon as they say, oh, vectors, and the first thing that comes to mind is, I'm just going to put them tip to tail. So here's what they do. They go, well, here's v1, here's v2, tip to tail. Therefore, the resultant must be that one. And they call that delta v. And they indicate that that's going to be the change in velocity. And then when they hand that in, I take out my big red pen and I mark it wrong. Because what they've done here is v1 plus v2. So basically I've said what's, 3 minus 2, and you told me it's 5. That's wrong. You need to deal with this properly. And probably the best way to describe and to make sure that you don't make a mistake with this is to do something about this negative sign. Now, what can I do about that negative sign? Well, let's have a look. I can take my v1 and my v2, and I can see I've got, whoops, let me undo that. I can see I've got my my v1. Okay, how do I show minus v1? Well, minus v1 is simply v1 pointing in the opposite direction. So this is no longer v1. This is minus v1, so let's call it that. What I'll do is I'll X that out, and I'll call it minus v1. Now I can go v2 plus minus v1. So where's v2? Here's v2. Let's just grab v2, and we'll add those two together. v2 plus minus v1 gives me delta v. So that one is actually delta v. And what I had before over here, you'll notice, has the same magnitude, same length, but its direction is wrong. So let's indicate that one as delta v. And this one is right. So what did I do? I simply flipped v1 and then added, which is the same as subtracting.